quite a bit of action already this morning. Here's kind of, from a big picture perspective, what I see kind of on the SPYs is kind of had this sloping downtrend here from the high around 279. Over today or tomorrow, it seems like we're heading with a date for this area right here. That's where the down started from on Monday. We have yesterday's high, 272.5.
NTN Buzz Time announced a $1.6 million registered direct offering.
And we have this here. So earlier, if we zoom in and we look at yesterday's action, we started the day, we said, okay, our range, we'll look for the open 270 to 272. And right on the open, we spiked to 272, came off $1, shorted into this, did not buy 271, which is right in the middle of the range. It was, you did have this little consolidation area. It could have flipped it to long. It's tricky though. We very well could have flushed all the way back down closer to this area here. We did make a new high, but closed right back inside of kind of the pre-market range we had established for the day, which was, we closed right at 271.5. $1 off the low, 50 cents off the low, $1 off the high. This morning at London's open, the SPYs were down here near the morning low from Monday. Immediately was bought at London's open, came to 271, pulled back, and then second leg when the China announcements came out, I don't know how unexpected or expected they were, but that was used as an excuse to push the futures back up to yesterday's high. And here we are kind of fluctuating above and below 272. Yesterday you would argue that with the nice compression and volatility, it was kind of a one-day wonder. But with the overnight gap and already a move of 1% off the lows, perhaps we will see a little bit of elevated volatility for a few more days. And we do have month end where there could be some large rebalancing of stocks and indices and things like that into the end of the quarter. As I just zoomed out here, you can see we're kind of working our way back into this early June consolidation area. A move up to here and a failure at 273, and then a couple of closes, as I mentioned yesterday, below 270. That brings in the mid 260s back into play, or at a minimum the low from end of May. So IWM looks like yesterday's high touched one of our first potential major resistance, where we broke down from on Monday. It had been this prior support. It was actually right at a buy script on Monday. It stopped out like within a few minutes. So we did touch that. So seems like it might be a decent area where we might fail a couple of times. So it's 160. It's around 166.60 basically. So shorting into this with a stop above 166.80, 167 seems like an interesting trade to me. Downside into this area here. Pretty steep downtrend. When we start to get some closes back above this area here, then I'd become more constructive on IWM. All right, so a bunch of in-play stuff. Let's start with CARA. Normally only does about 1 million shares, but on a day like this, could easily do 5 to 10 million shares. The news was post-surgery pain meds, good results. Seem to be seeing a lot of that lately. I mentioned I think it was last week, we talked about this idea of people looking for these opioid substitutes. Here's the longer term on it. Had this crazy move from 20 to 28 in a couple of days and went straight back down. So we were gapping this morning above 20. Kind of into this right here. I guess a little bit below that. So far we stopped here at 23 a few times. And a little bit of higher low at 22.60. So it does look like they're, right now it looks like they're going to try to push it down right on the open. Sold at the longer term resistance, lower high. Now they're selling 22, so the sellers are stepping down very clearly here. So the question is, can they flush it down into $20? Put 20 as my first support, and then since it's a bit of a crazy stock, I put this as well. So a quick flush on the open into here. I want to see if it comes back up to 22. Holds higher, then maybe test the pre-market high. But right now you want to be really careful on the long side unless it kind of holds. It breaks to the upside here, starts to hold above 22. And if it holds above 22 within a couple of minutes, you want to see it above 22.50, or else it's probably just a little fake for the down. Really good volume in the pre-market. It's done already 500,000 shares. Let's go on to the next thing, CAG. So CAG is going to probably be a little bit wild on the open. They announced a merger with PF. The headline said they were buying PF, but I didn't really look that closely at the deal structure. But they both got hit. The market doesn't seem to really like the deal. We want to focus on CAG since PF will move with it. Here's PF. So yeah, you can see they look pretty much the same. Actually, I don't even know why I have this second. It's just this stock is so ugly and messy in here. I guess what kind of caught my attention was it was down at the support here from February 1st and March 20th, like around 35-ish, and then it bounced from there. It's 34.70. What do I have in the sheet? 34.75 to 35, which is right here. It's done almost 1 million shares in the pre-market. Honestly, like, if this popped a little bit on the open, I'd probably just start shorting it right here and see if it rolled back over to $35. That's my thought on it. Even if it went straight up to like 38, the 38 resistance, I would just then, as soon as it got up there, have alerts at 37.50, 37.25, 37, and just watch to see how quickly it failed. And if it got below 37 and then started to hold here, then initiate the short. The only other thing to really look at besides this on the downside is this 36 level, where they seem to be accumulating it after the initial top at 8 a.m. GIS, they reported that seems like they're on a conference call right now. Let's go on the 30-minute. I feel like we looked at this when it was getting beaten down on the last quarter's earnings. It's already had a pretty good bounce. It's already come off over $1 in the pre-market. I'm pretty sure we were looking at it when it came down here below 45, and I think I tried to buy it in here somewhere. It's one of these, like the higher quality big cap name. It's like very low risk, General Mills, where you know eventually when it's just beaten down this much from like 60 to the mid 40s, where it's come off 25, 30%, that it'll base at some point and start to come back up, and they usually come back up to where they started from. But it's so slow that, you know, it takes months and you kind of lose track of it. There was a chance where it went to the low here at 41. It did a retest on, this probably was a down day in the market or something. It did do the retest of the low. And then once it got back above 43.30, it was probably going to come to here, which it did. So now the support becomes 45. Let's see. 45.70 to 46, this area here. Does it get bought here on the open? It does, and then starts to go up. 37, we have on the sheet. The real major resistance is off our chart right now, so we just have the pre-market levels. I think I put the gap fill levels on there. All right, so initially it didn't react that positive. Once it got above yesterday's high, it started to hold. Came up to this 47.20, couldn't get above it for a little bit, then took it out, quick move to 48. So that's what we got, 48. Resistance. It's done 300,000 shares, about 5% of its daily volume. I don't know if this is real right here. Let me go to the 1 minute. Yeah. So they did flush down into here. So this is the spot. 45.80, 45.70 is where I give it a shot on the long. People already did that a couple of minutes ago. It's back above 46.25. But same thing, quick flush on the open into here, then back above 46.25. I'd be playing it to here, to here. A flush on the open, and then a shallow pop, and then it starts to hold below 46 until you got the morning low. Maybe you get a larger retracement. Let's say 41 was the low, 48. Maybe you get a retracement to about $1 below this area right here. The next one is WWE, which has no resistance. Here's the daily. They signed a couple of new TV contracts, so more revenue is going to be coming in. I think it was USA and Fox, I think. So this one already gapped up back in May, about 50, had the huge move to 60. This is the definition of what we call buyers in control. Big move, consolidation, consolidation, big move. This morning, again, big move. So it started from 67, popped to 72. I don't know. I think people might be getting tired of chasing this a little bit here. Maybe some sort of pop on the open, failure, and you just get like a really hard down move back down to 70. Market needs some time to digest. If we just zoom out again, show it on the percentage basis, kind of see how much people are up now this year. So January, we got to go back further. At the beginning of the year, the stock was $30. So it's now, people are up 150% from the beginning of the year. And even the people who bought in May on this gap up to 50 are now up 50% at $75. Yeah, I mean, there was a price target, 82 and $100 price target. So maybe some people are going to try to squeeze that thing out, hold it all the way to the 80s. But there could be enough people to, you can already see it got to 77, came off a quick $5. You make a lower high here, very quickly can get down to 70. Not that it wasn't really good news. It's just how are people positioned? What are the expectations? And it, you know, it could even come back into the 60s, and then you get a consolidation over the next couple of weeks before it starts to creep its way higher. So I'd be really careful on the long side, unless, like, let's say after 10:30, it's still consolidating in this area here between 75 and 77.5. So that's that. And then I'll just do BABA quickly, but somebody asked about that, so I'm not long it anymore. It's like, I think I hit my target, yes. I don't even know why. I'm not actually sure why. I think maybe I put a trailing stop on in the afternoon when it got back up to the morning high. And so I think I probably hit it out below 192 or something. So yeah, BABA. It's moving a lot with the China stuff. So you can kind of see the downtrend that's forming here. It definitely could get back up to this 196, 197, 198. That's where my alerts went off on Monday. I would think people would be shorting it into this. And then you look for like a retest of here. Any type of close, I would say, above 197 starts to become constructive longer term. So those are my thoughts on BABA. It's a little bit like the SPY chart right now in the pre-market. AKM, which I mentioned yesterday, can be a real tough stock. The way that it moved yesterday is why I put it on the second day. It just was so very calmly and slowly accumulated. So it sold off from 82 to 77. They updated the guidance yesterday, kind of flushed on the open, put in the low, and then very slowly went up the rest of the day, which bodes well for a bigger bounce today, I think. So you can see right on the open, it was being bought at 74. It popped up to 75, 60 or something. I think I got alerts up here. Came back down below 75, which was pretty vicious. But then after that, it was just accumulated really slowly the rest of the day. You can see right here it was accumulated at that 75.15 level. Then they started accumulating it here around the half. It failed at 76, but never really got below the 75.5 here. I put on the sheet, I was hoping like maybe right on the open they would kind of flush it down to this accumulation area, and then get back above 75.5, and then I would just see if we could ride it up to like 77 or higher. That's my thought there. And then MU, this was the one that loaded up in the 53 area on Monday. Initially was stopped out, and then it's got back above 53. As I said, a very important longer-term level. I just wanted to point out one thing to you, which I actually missed putting in a script to buy this. But on day one, there was a pretty big buyer at 53.60. That's what actually caught my attention. Also, the fact that it was down a couple of dollars from the open. That buyer held it there for about 20 minutes. It finally dropped, had the final down leg, came back up to where the buyer was. People sold into it, held higher. They sold into it again. Then yesterday morning, right on the open, where the buyer was on day one, it held. Went up $1. Came back down, it held again. There was no reason not to have a script in to buy it against basically 53.5, this level here, with the buyer here multiple days. It held again, made a new high. This morning the pre-market was actually down there when the market was down. I don't know if we're going to get back down there, but if we do get to the 54 area, that's what I'd be looking at, nibbling on the 54s, and then really buying into this area right here against 53.5. Even if it ends up retracing, if it ends up being accumulated a little bit more and breaks to the upside, it's going to test on this 57 level where it broke down from, which is probably about almost half of a retracement of the down move from after the earnings.